Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to today's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And today we have the amazing Brandy Gillmore talking about the hidden key of real results. Step into your success, healing, love, and transformation today. And why is Brandy qualified to talk about this? Because she does that on a consistent basis. And she'll probably share some of the story of how she was in a place where results weren't obvious. As a matter of fact, they were dismal and reaching a plateau of success, of bringing her life back into even a state of balance. And she had to create from a whole new, different normal. And from that, she has built up not only the resilience, but she's actually tapped into a reality of how it is that we really create the life that we're capable of. Again, the success, the healing, the love, and the transformation. So we're going to get into that. Brandy's going to talk to us about the number one hidden block that keeps most people stuck, even after years of doing the work, the breakthrough that helped her finally understand how to heal and how it can help you too, and so much more. And of course, we'll open up into Q&A as well. And I can tell you so much more about Brandy, but I'd love it more, Brandy, if you would share with the audience. So welcome to the call today. It's great to have you back on BTO.
Likewise, it is so wonderful to be here, and I just love that. And you said something along the way of it really like changed. Was it? It was a different type of change. I don't remember the exact words of what you said, but it would definitely was beyond the ordinary, if you will. It
Yeah.
life changing, life changing when you really get and understand how it works to heal yourself, to change your life. It's pivotal, and literally, this is the last thing that I ever thought that I would be doing. Now, 20 over 20 years ago, I was injured. Is when I was injured, and if somebody had told me that I could heal with my mind at that time, I would have thought that they were crazy, that it was not possible. And then of course I spent almost 7 years trying everything wrong, like just doing everything, all of the things, if you will, the positive thinking, the binaural beats, the frequencies, the energy, the all of the things, the thinking positive, all the cool mind programming things, and it wasn't working. And so that's it just made me want to figure out what did work. And so it's just pivotal, and so that's what I'm excited to share today.
Well, you went into a deep soul journey that awakened the capacity within the human form of really seeing something that a lot of us seek in different ways, but you had to go through an extreme situation to find that awakening within you. I'd love it if you share a little bit of that, and then we'll get into the blocks that are keeping us stuck.
Absolutely. So I used to work in network engineering operations, and basically I had an accident. Technically, I had two accidents. I had a car accident that messed me up, but I was still going along, just a little bit of an eggshell, if you will. And then I had a fall, and I fell just wrong, just right, however you want to say it. But basically, I ended up with a neurological disorder, complex regional pain syndrome, and I was in extreme pain. On a good day, I could get around with a wheelchair or walker or cane. And on a bad day, I didn't make it out of bed. And that was my life. I was on morphine for years. And basically,
Mm.
I was in this place where I was just like, I don't care what the answer is. I was like searching different countries for some type of solution. So every time any doctor said, no, there's nothing else we can do, there's nothing else, I would literally another diet, another supplement, another pill, another anything, and looking, just medical journals and researching to just figure it out. And after years and years and years, I think one of the biggest pivotal things for me was looking at the awareness of multiple personality disorder, because
Mm.
I had been meditating for years, like, and not just one meditation a day, like hours and hours. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do silent meditation, I'm going to do guided meditation, I'm going to do like everything in between, because I was like, okay, if one of these is, at first it was, starting with one type, and then it was like, okay, well, let me add in another, let me add in another, let me add in another. I was like, something's got to work. And but finally, when I found, I was like, well, how long do I need to do this? It wasn't working for years, years. And then in the medical journals, when I found, as I was researching neuroscience and the mind, that people with multiple personality disorder could have different illnesses in different personalities, it it literally, it blew my mind. And I thought to myself at the time, I literally was like laying in bed and thinking, no, I don't know, all this pain, and thinking, how do I get a personality that's healed? What do I need to do? And and nothing of, with multiple personality disorder, I have so much compassion, but that was my way of thinking. And it just led to the awareness that, of course, our minds have an amazing ability to heal our bodies, but just that I needed to make a real change in my mind. And I think just from that place, what was pivotal is I had been in this way going, okay, well, I'm just waiting for my body to heal. I'm just waiting. I'm doing everything right. I'm eating all the supplements and all the diet and all of this and meditating. And it's, of course, my body is just going to take time. It's just going to take time. But when I saw people with multiple personality disorder could have, I mean, there was a woman who was medically blind in some personalities and not in others, or
Mm.
pain or illness or asthma or all these things. And I thought, you know what? How do I get results that fast? And I think that it enabled me to kind of get more assertive with it and say, okay, what do I need to do? What else do I need to do? How do I go beyond this? And that was pivotal.
And so what shifted? Obviously, you're healthy, you're out of bed, you're creating and helping so many people by
Yeah.
what you learned. But what was the pivot? What balance, what tipped the scale to a place where you can start taking action and you start seeing the results?
You know, a couple of things, but I have to say, just on that note, when you said you're happy and you're healthy, I was out playing pickleball the other day, and I was, just pickleball, running all over the court, playing pickleball.
Mm.
And this gentleman, he had my book, and he was like, I can't believe that you could just do this and run everywhere. And it was really, really sweet. It just, he's like, you're just, and of course, I'm 100%, I can run, I can do all these things. But what tipped the scale was a few things. Was number one, I started looking at it and I said, okay, look, I have to simplify everything. How can we see that the mind affects the physical body? And so I started looking at it. I said, of course, if we simplify everything, emotions. We know if somebody's embarrassed, their face can turn red, or panic attack, racing heart, shortness of breath, or or somebody can have a sexual thought, sexual physical response. And I thought, okay, emotions, I know that, but I had an accident.
Mm.
And I kept looking at emotions. And research showed that even if somebody had surgery, if they were in a state of fear and stress, they could have a higher rate of death or rehospitalization. But if they were happy and more optimistic, they could heal faster. Or even people with broken heart syndrome could die of a broken heart. And so I could see that, okay, emotions affected the physical body. But I think one of the other breakthroughs, I mean, there were so many pieces. One of the other breakthroughs was looking at it objectively and saying, okay, well, wait a second. If stress affects the physical body, then how is it possible for people with PTSD, severe trauma, who aren't sick, and people with less stress who are extremely ill? That doesn't make sense. And so that was a breakthrough, because looking at it in a different way, what I began to put together and realize is that the combination is key. And a
Mm.
simple way to think about it is like this, is that if somebody wants to make bread or make cake and they have flour, they can't make cake or bread or whatever it is. But if they add other ingredients, now they can make, whatever they're wanting to make. And of course, if they change the ingredients, they change the outcome. They change the ingredients, they change the outcome. And so what I began to realize is a specific combination of ingredients. So that was pivotal right
Mm.
there. And then the other understanding on an energetic note, that our emotions and our mindset and our emotions actually affect our biophotons. So not only could we see our emotions affect our body, but our biophotons. So the energy of the body, where a lot of people think that energy is woo-woo, that they can actually affect the energy. There is a real energy to the body, and it's documented even in, like, there's so much medical research, even in, there's a database under NASA. It's under the NASA agreement that has documented research about the energy of the body. So where it was like, a lot of people think energy is woo-woo. No, it's actually medically verified, and it can communicate through the body. And so there was just all of these different awarenesses regarding emotions and how they work, and energy and the interconnectedness that really just piece by piece all the pieces came together.
Hmm. Well, there's also been scientific investigations, if you will, studies done with your work and how you healed and how you're helping other people that really get past the point of being stuck and finding momentum forward in their physicality or in their mental frames of success or wanting to achieve something.
Exactly. And actually, do you want me to show you what that looks like?
Absolutely. Yes. Let's get you to
Awesome.
share screens.
Let me go ahead and share. Oops, there's a little request right there. Oop. Uh-oh. It says you're not allowing me to share.
I'm allowing you right now.
Oh, there we go. Hey, I got the permission. All right, here we go. All right. So here we go. And so this right here is a study. So here, wait, let's see. Here we go. So this is in scientific research journal. And
Mm,
here's my name right here. But what's fun is this, is I've been able to show people after I healed how to get results and even show it under medical equipment. And we'll go down to the pictures down here. But there we go. So you can see this person right here. This is 22 minutes apart. And you can see the difference. Now, basically what this is for anybody who isn't familiar with medical thermography, but if you look at all the red right there, this woman has intense, she has neck pain and upper back pain. And that's what all the red is. It shows heat coming
mm,
from that pain. And then if we look at the other side, we can see it's all green. And so she did this, and we see that after 22-minute session, it changed. She was able to release her pain. And so that's what I wanted to do. Is after I got better, I thought people are going to think this is crazy. And by the way, here's another one. I'll show you this last one real quick. This one right here was what I love about this gentleman is it took him 28 minutes and he went from a level 6 of pain to a 0 of pain. And you
mm.
can see that difference. But the other thing is that after he got done with this, so this was at a facility, after he got done, he stood up and he said, I can't believe that worked. And he had just come from a 10-day meditation retreat and a positive thinking workshop. And he was like, how is this even possible? And that's what was beautiful, is that just showing him how to target the specific things in his mind was key. And I think later we'll probably take some volunteers or something like that and kind of
Most
demonstrate.
definitely. Yeah. We'll get
Okay.
people to raise their hands and volunteer to take them through an experience.
Okay, yeah, to kind of just show what I'm talking about and how this works and whatnot. So yeah, but just incredible what we're capable of. So yeah, it's amazing.
So it's one thing someone having a direct experience with you and you guiding them in a 22, 30 minute. I worked with you for a while. I think that we worked together like a year. It's been a while. It was a while. It's like we committed for a bit. And it was extraordinary what was coming through and how it stabilized the foundation for me and allowed me to see beyond and to focus differently was tremendous. But other than having you working on someone one-on-one or directly, how is it that you're guiding people? Because you have a large platform and a lot of people follow you. How are they receiving this consciousness that you carry and shift their lives if they can't be with you in a one-on-one session?
It's so good because this is the thing, right? Is that all of us have this ability to heal ourselves. And when we stop and think about, just like somebody has the ability to be embarrassed and their face turns red, or just like somebody has the ability to feel anxiety and have a panic attack, we all have the ability to undo that as well.
Mm,
And so really ultimately what I love to teach people how to do is start tapping into their own mindset, their own subconscious, and connecting with what's in it and transforming it and understanding what are the key factors for creating that change, so they know how to do it. Because part of even the gift of healing is also that feeling of empowerment where you feel like I've got this, like I can do this, I'm capable. That's an amazing feeling. And so
mm,
that's ultimately what I want every person to feel. But that's, yeah, I see people who they message in all the time. They go, oh my gosh, like they're healing themselves, getting rid of chronic headaches that they've had for this many years. People getting rid of healing themselves from quote unquote terminal illness. And now their doctors are shocked. And it's just, it's amazing. And I would say if we just simplify it, it's like somebody can be embarrassed and their face turns red. And of course, it's a lot deeper than that, because a lot of times when people get into mind body healing, they think like, oh, it's a trauma. And that's a place where some people get stuck. They go, oh, it's this trauma or that's this trauma. But it's really about repatterning the mind. And
Mm,
so it's like if I look at some of the main beliefs that people have that they like, because more and more people are waking up to healing with the mind. But then they think, oh, well, if I just link up things in the mind, if neurons are firing together, that's the answer. And it's like, well, just because something's linked in the mind, that doesn't make it the answer. And let
mm,
me give you an example. It's kind of like this. Common example I use. If I said to you, um, what is a red fruit? What would you say?
apple.
Okay, great. So that's linked up in your mind. Now, does that mean everywhere you go, you're manifesting red apples everywhere?
No.
Probably not. But it's linked in your mind. So there's more than manifesting. So sometimes people go, oh, if neurons are firing together, I'm healed. And it's like, no, there's more. We have to be specific. So ultimately, what it is we have to change at a deeper level. Or people will think, oh, it's just trauma. But if we simplify it down, let's say this is that people have different patterned ways of thinking and feeling and perceiving.
Mhm.
So it's like if somebody, I call it the 5 pivotal keys, but if somebody thinks and feels and perceives, so it's like if somebody thinks, feels, and perceives and acts and bees, they're thinking and feeling and perceiving from fear, thinking and feeling and perceiving from fear, thinking and feeling, and that's who they are. Or maybe they're thinking and feeling from embarrassment, or thinking and feeling from hurt, or sympathy, or anger, or upset, or victim, or whatnot. These certain ways get patterned into the mind. And then people go, oh, well, let me just get rid of the old trauma. But it's not changing the mind at the level that's really needed to change to create healing. And so
Mm.
there's certain patterns and certain things that if we just go deeper and bigger, that we can really make that change at a deeper level, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, what's fascinating about you, it's the first time I saw it, I saw this connection into a wide consciousness that was streaming through you as you were sharing your process and your different journeys. Like she's channeling, it's like she's streaming energy, but she's so grounded. And this was a very grounded type of consciousness type of crowd, which was amazing. But it's like, hold on a second, there's something else emanating from you that you're not speaking from, but that you're embodying simultaneously. And it's so beautiful because what you represent to me is is a circuit that is available to all of us that as we open up the channels within our own capacity of our mindset and what we choose to give attention to and have a relationship with that to build something beyond what we're currently experiencing, that opens up the channel of a consciousness that allows us greater access to a wider library of intelligence that's flowing through us. And so it's a circuit. One doesn't come before the other. They feed, they nourish each other.
Yeah, and I love that, and I love exactly what you said. That absolutely, and putting it in a grounded way, absolutely.
Mm.
So that's part of exactly what happened. Is as I healed myself, of course, this channel opened up. So now I can channel information, but in the grounded. But then I also ground it. But I would say that also, if I were going to add to that, I would say that part of what I did to open the channel. Let me just ask. Let me. Yes. Hold on. Okay.
Mm.
So part of what I did to open the channel is as I started to repattern my mind and get rid of negative patterns, the channel then came through. And a simple way to think about it is, we all have this ability to connect with universe, God, divine energy, whatever we want to call it. We have this ability, just like a bird has an ability to connect with universe, or a dog has an ability to connect with universe. We're all like, there's a connectedness. But for a lot of us human beings, our minds have become so busy in pattern and emotion and this that we're not as connected, or there's too much chatter, if you will, in the mind, or too many patterns. And so what happened is this, is that a lot of people think, oh, well, if you just quiet the chatter, but the problem is if you quiet the chatter, you also quiet the voice. You quiet
Mm.
everything. And so ultimately what I did to help open it is to get rid of these patterns. And I guess a simple way to think about it is like if there's a really busy restaurant and you're on one side of the restaurant, I'm on the other, and you're trying to talk to me, I can't hear you. But if we quiet everybody down, or we clear it out, now you can talk to me and it's easy. And so what I would also say is, in working with my mind in a different way and really healing myself, my goal wasn't to open up this channel. I would have never thought, oh, I'm going to channel information and feel what
Mhm.
people feel and I can see their patterns. I would have never thought. And of course, I've had the channel for over 15 years now, but
Mm.
I mean, I would have never thought that. But that's what happened, is as I healed myself, then I got this channel. I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is a gift. And of course, helping me to help other people. But yeah, it's amazing that we all have this ability. And the more we do clear our minds and really change, the more the bingo comes through.
Oh, the bingo, yes, your bingos. I love your bingos. Y'all are going to experience bingos probably on the call a little bit more, uh, which is extraordinary. And again, just coming back into the essence, this availability that comes through for you, and in that you're, again, what I love about you is that you're an ambassador for grounding it. Because why? Why open to the channel? Yes, to feel love and to feel safe and to feel security. But why are we in human form and to carry that creativity forward? And you're an embodied, just I'll call it ambassador of what's possible as we open set and we expand into beyond whatever limitations the mind has grasped onto, because there's more to experience in such a beautiful, graceful, and exciting way.
Well said, exactly. And that's kind of, ultimately, it's kind of like this, is that with math, the only reason we can come up with the same answer repeatedly over and over is because we have a formula for it.
Mhm.
Right. And so after I healed, I thought, okay, I need to put this, like, how do we really change healthcare? How do we really have more and more people do this? It's got to have a formula, if you will. So even on the medical journal publication, every single person that I worked with, 100% was all able to shift out of their pain and reduce their pain, all of that, back to back to back to back. And it's because, so it's the groundedness. It's the, okay, I can channel information and get it. And then, okay, let's put it in a formula to help more people then reproduce it and get results and to get repeated results. So it's,
Mhm.
yeah, so it's good. The grounded channeling.
Grounded channeling is amazing. Y'all, we're going to start getting into Q&A here in a little bit. So if you want to run through this with Brandy, I highly recommend you raising your hands, and we'll start calling on you in just a second. Um, we are going to get into a special offer, and this is new for us, y'all. It's extremely rare for me to offer an entry point for BTO at such a financially accessible starting spot. And I mean that it's super expensive to have this free or this workshop with Brandy. It starts at $49, and then there's other offers on top of that. But it's extraordinary to have this opportunity to work with Brandy at this price. So we'll get into a special offer.
John, I
Yes,
don't
Brandy.
think I've ever had I think this is the lowest price I've actually ever on record ever had.
Oh, well, I know I paid a hell of a lot more than that.
Yeah, and my
Yeah,
goal, I
yeah,
want people, this is what's that more and more people are waking up to this awareness of healing, but I just see more and more people struggling and stuck.
I
And
agree.
they know they can get results. They're aware and awakened and connected to the universe and channeling, like even connecting to energy and all of these things, but haven't healed. So that's exactly what I tried to do. And I know so many people have been stressed with economy and whatnot and blah, blah, blah. I was like, let me just make this so accessible that anybody can do it, literally.
I love that. Oh, what do you think is the number one thing that's keeping people like in a loop? Like we have all this information, we kind of know what to do in different ways, and still we just can't like it just can't move. We can't move the needle for whatever reason.
There are, depending upon what it is, but I would say, like, because it can happen with health, it can happen with life. I would say a lot of times people aren't focused on the specific patterns. They're all over. They're number one is not focused on the specific patterns. And a simple way to think about it is if somebody's embarrassed and their face turns red and they're working on maybe, anger towards this or that, like, or trauma or whatnot. So a lot of people, they're
Mm.
they're working on the wrong thing. Or when it comes to like manifesting, for example, people will do things like this. They'll be like, oh, I want to manifest the car or the relationship, the connection, the this, and they have like all these desires that they want to manifest. But then they might have like a major pattern of sympathy or hardship
Mm.
or whatnot. And it's kind of like trying to plant a tree in cement and wondering why it's not growing. So a
Yeah.
lot of times people will have these patterns that are going on that are bigger picture patterns that they don't even realize. They're in the subconscious mind. So they have these subconscious patterns that are blocking. So they go, but I want the relationship and it's not showing up. Or I want the car or the house or the job or the this or the money or whatever it is. They're wanting something, but at a deeper level, there's patterns that are actually blocking what they're wanting. And so nothing that they're, or the very things that they're wanting aren't coming through to fruition.
And what happens when, because there's a difference of having like a glimpse of an experience and holding it for a short period of time or even a few days, but then it falls off. But what do you find is required to have sustainable shifts?
A glimpse of it is nice, but I would say it's, typically speaking, there are going to be patterns or blocks or whatnot that, or things that really conflict with that actual pattern. So what does it take? It takes a real change,
Mm.
and the way to put it is like this is, so often it's like people are wanting what they want. And I know I was doing that very thing during my injury. I was like, universe, I just want to heal. I want my life to be better. I'm in fear. I'm in struck. I'm in struggle. I'm in pain, all of these things.
Mhm.
And we just want what we want, what we want. But when we really just understand to change, really change, that genuine change in the subconscious and identify the specifics, that's when it's pivotal.
And there is a formula to work through it.
There is a formula. There are formulas to work through it. And when you really realize what it is to align with things, and just it's a genuine change. It's a
Mhm.
real genuine change and it's pivotal.
Well, let's dive into some examples of it before we go through the special offer. And y'all, the special offer is amazing. Again, it's the cheapest Brandy's offered anything on the show, maybe anywhere.
I think
Um,
ever.
it's amazing. It's amazing.
It
But
just
we'll get into specifics of that in a little bit. I'd love it if we can dive into some examples with some live audience members. So let's start.
absolutely.
Jane, let's start with you. Welcome to the call.
Thank you. Yes, hello. Brandy, I have followed you for some time now, and I am just
Mhm.
thrilled to be able to talk to you now and the work you're doing, and I'm excited to hear about the offer too. Um, I know I've got a lot of patterns going on. I mean, I've known this since I've got a high ACE score. So I've got a lot of trauma in my past, and I've been working, as we all do, in the ways that we can. Um, and I've got persistent migraines that just have been bugging me ever since 19 years old. I've got some health issues too, but I feel as if I don't want to say coming out of those, but those have really changed recently. But my migraines have really been persistent. So I'm coming to you with that.
Okay. All right. So give me 1 second. So that, give me 1 second.
Or I'm coming to you with that and whatever else shows up.
Okay. So that bingo. Give me 1 second. Um bingo. Well, okay, so number one, bingo, bingo. If I ask you, yes, if I ask you number one, 0 to 10, how much you would say you're critical of self, what would you say?
I used to be a 20. I may be down to like an 8 now.
That is exactly what I would have said. 0 to 10, about a level 8. So that is exactly what I would have said. Um, bingo. Bingo. There's also another feeling of feeling like others are critical of you. Can you see that?
Yes.
Bingo. Okay. So Bingo. So if I ask your
And
body,
it's projected on, it's not necessarily true. I understand that part of it, and I still feel it in me. Yes.
bingo. Okay. But also, if I ask you to notice, there's also a part of you that's a bit strong-willed or stubborn at times. Can you see that?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So
Yep.
then sometimes what's also happening is that there is this feeling of people maybe giving you feedback and you don't want to hear the feedback. So then it creates more of the turmoil of issues. Can you see that? Where it
Yes.
feels like criticism, and also with the resistance to change and the stubbornness, it's fueling the problem. Say.
Yes, I have a real resistance to, I don't know how else to say it, authority figures.
Okay, so I just have to say, I love your self-awareness. Just absolutely, absolutely beautiful. So very, very, very good. And that bingo. You have a sister,
I do not.
brother,
3,
uh, older sibling. Can you give me older sibling initials?
CM, AM, SM,
Bingo. Okay, so say SM.
SM.
Bingo. Okay, so there's your resistance. A lot of resistance there and some combat. Can you see that? At growing as a child.
Um, he's 13 years older than I am, so he was out of the house.
Okay. And if I ask you how much you had a feeling of resistance towards authority from him,
I don't see it, Brandy. I
age,
really didn't know him as a child, and I barely know him as an adult.
okay. So there's a feeling at age 6.
Okay.
Okay. Say his initials again.
SM,
Bingo. Okay. And can you give me your mother's initials? Okay.
HM.
If I ask you how much you had a feeling growing up of not wanting your older siblings to tell you what to do, 0 to 10.
I don't see that at all because they weren't in the house. And my one sibling that was in the house, we were just surviving. So he
Okay.
never told me what to do. HM
Okay.
is my mother, and there's
That's,
lots of issues there.
I see. Okay. So let's put it this way. If I ask you growing up, how much you had a strong feeling that said, don't tell me what to do.
Yes.
Bingo. Okay. So that specifically, so I would say that so bingo. So either way, that's the way you want to understand. Those are the ingredients. Okay. So the ingredients are the feeling of self-criticism, feeling criticized by others, the feeling of the stubborn resistance, and the feeling against authority. So those pieces. Bingo. And then sometimes the upset or bingo of yes, of a bit of yes, upset or anger about it. There's some resistance there. You can see that, right?
Rage.
Bingo. Well said.
Hmm.
Yeah. I love your awareness. Fantastic. But those are the ingredients, if you will, that are connected to that. So
And so that's connected to the migraines, Brandy, you're saying.
yes. Yes.
And so what does this have to do with her belief system? The belief that there's resistance with authority. What's the reframe?
You see, it's not it's kind of like this, is that bingo. A lot of times, if somebody has a feeling of resistance towards authority, it's kind of like this. Like, let's say that I had a feeling of resisting people or a resistance or a stubbornness. So if
Hmm.
somebody around me is trying to tell me something, how well do I receive it?
Hmm.
And not only that, but so instead, relationships are about relating, right? Connecting, hearing each other. So a lot of times in a relationship, if somebody's resistance is too high towards things, they're not going to be able to harmoniously hear, or maybe things get taken personally as criticism and projected that way, or I've worked with people before who refused to change and they couldn't see somebody else's side. So then somebody in their life might say, hey, this is going on. And they're like, but I don't care. It's my way or the highway kind of feeling. And it makes it hard. So then a person may feel repeatedly criticized because they're not able to see from another side and have that open mind to respect both sides. There can be multiple different ways. So it's what I would say is that as we decrease negative emotions, we can see with more clarity on the solution. And a simple way to think about it is like this. If somebody's really, really, really upset, and really somebody's really upset or resistant or struck or whatnot, and you try to reason with them, how does it go?
No, it doesn't go at all. Yeah.
Okay, if you calm the pattern down and you calm it down and you calm it down and you try to reason with her, how does it go?
There's definitely much more opportunity for openness, right?
Exactly. So if there's a resistance, it can show up in different ways and when we have triggers for whatever reason, it can be different in different situations. And so what can happen is somebody can take things personally, or somebody can be overly immediately triggered and then act from that place. And then it's like, well, what happened? So it can result in feelings of disconnect or offness in a variety of different ways.
It's like the fire alarm's just waiting to go off any minute. It's waiting to go off, and it creates that resistance.
Well, and Brandy, I so relate to everything you're saying. For a little context, my mother was schizophrenic and she was my primary caregiver. So she would tell me to do things that were really off and then punish me for doing them or not doing them. So it was a weird dynamic. And even though I'm aware so much of what I am about my patterns, I'm like, yes, I know I bring this, and I don't want to do it today to everybody all the time. So it's kind of like I'm coming to you, what do I do? Because I really think you have an answer for this piece of it.
Bingo. So absolutely. And bingo, give me 1 second, because absolutely. And you're saying basically, what do I do about it? And I'm saying, okay, the 3-second answer is
I know that's not fair.
I know. I'm like, okay, here's the ingredients. Rewire your mind genuinely. And a simple way to think about it is that, that's kind of the thing, is that so often the way that people work with the mind, they try to just check out or calm the emotions or whatnot. We have to rewire the mind. And a simple way to think about it is like this. Is that, bingo, emotions control our consciousness. Okay. So a simple way to think about it, if somebody's really, 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 really in love, what do they see?
Love.
Love everywhere.
Love it. And they see all of the good in somebody.
Right.
If they're really, 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 really angry, what do they see?
What they want to see.
Yeah.
Something to be mad about.
All of the negative, the frustration, the this, right? So emotions control our consciousness also. And by the way, have you ever seen somebody before where they're like, can you believe so-and-so did this and this and this? And they're feeling like a victim. And you're looking at them going, well, wait a second here. It looks like you're the one that made a mistake, but they're seeing it through the victim lens, right?
Yeah.
And so what happens is, like you wisely said, you said, I know my criticism is sometimes just a projection of what I'm thinking. So what happens is ultimately what you need to do is shift your emotions, shift your consciousness so you're not seeing through the same lens, and then rewire it in the subconscious mind is what you need to do. So basically, that's the 3-second answer is take the emotion, identify the specific, shift your consciousness to change the emotion, and then get it rewired in the subconscious mind. Does that make sense?
And there's an opportunity to go deeper into the special offers.
That's what I was going to say. That's what makes sense. What you're saying makes sense, and how to do it. I think hopefully I'll find out in one of the promo offers.
Exactly.
And that's
following up on it. Yeah.
That is exactly what we were doing in the offers, is exactly that. That's why, like, I can answer that question at a deeper level. I just can't answer it in under a minute or less.
Of course. And thank you so much for your time. Yes.
Absolutely.
Hope to see you soon.
Likewise, beautiful. Likewise, likewise.
Hey, we're going to get into some more Q&A, but we mentioned the special offer enough to let's just go ahead and dive into it. Y'all click on the button underneath the video where you're watching the call from. The special offer button's right there. It's on under the replay video as well if you're watching the broadcast after the live session. And the link is in the chat box as well so that you can click on the special offer item there. And Brandy, got everybody through. There's 3 opportunities to dive in with you.
Exactly. And by the way, just so you know, you literally, the first one it's package A, and it is literally exactly that, is that all of the time. Like if you ask me, what is the norm that I see people struggling with patterns that go back to their childhood or gone back 10, 20, 30 years, and they're stuck in them, and they've tried meditation and positive thinking and all of the things, the tapping, the this, the that, whatever it is. And all those things can be nice and all of that. So I don't want to say anything negative about anything, but they've tried everything and they're still stuck. And that is exactly why I created package A, is exactly that, is so people can understand why. That's exactly what it is all about. It's called Gillmore Internal Freedom Technique, and it's all about creating internal freedom. And that's what we do, is release techniques and exactly that. And so that's what that package is. Package B is finding the gift in self-healing. And it's about understanding so the package A is about specifically people who are anybody who's stuck in any type of pattern, hurt, frustration, love, whatever it is, life, success, whatever it is, that they're just stuck. Package B is specific towards healing. It goes, okay, well, what are the factors that are really connected to health? Like, because as I mentioned previously, it's not just stress, because if it was just stress, then somebody with PTSD or severe trauma, they'd all be really, really, really sick. So it's not just that. So in finding the gift in self-healing, what we're looking at is really, what are the keys? And then also it's again, it's interactive. It's hot seat code. We're literally going through doing that, and then also creating the shift. So it helps you to understand how to actually really create that shift in your life. And so that's what package B is. And then package C has to do with love and love and relationships and healing because so often people will need to really, depends. Some people, mine specific, my illness was not towards relationships. It was more towards the events of 9/11, which actually the pattern started in my childhood anyway, but I didn't realize it initially. But anyways, so for some people, the relationships are a big, big thing for healing. And so for anybody who is in that space, what I love about this is I've seen people heal themselves, but also heal their relationship, love, and connection. And that's package C. And it's a deep dive transformational course that all the time I have people who go through it and who say they've taken every relationship course and understand that this one is changed their life. And so that's the package. And those are the packages. And my biggest thing is results. Just because I know what it feels like to want for years to just get results, to change, to heal. So
yeah, this is really cool, y'all, but y'all have to act quickly on some of these. First of all, package A, it's a 2-hour workshop, live workshop. That's $49. You can reserve your spot, and that's open to the whole community.
by the way, when you
yes.
said open to the whole community, it's actually limited to only 20 spots. So remember, so
Even the first one, even package A, package B, I know is open to 15 spots, right?
yes, because it's healing. It's a bit more healing with it. It's really checking into more energy
Oh,
and
it's
whatnot.
15 spots for package A also. Oh, y'all take advantage of this. Okay.
Yeah, so it is the first people that sign up. It's an incredibly low price, but it is for the first people who, sign up.
Well, package B is limited to 15 people, and then package C is limited to 20 people, I think, right?
It is. So
Y'all dive in, take advantage of
yeah,
it. It's
because
gonna go fast.
when they're on live,
Um,
there's only, I can't have 50 people and still give it the level that I want to give in these and make it interactive and whatnot. So it's like, okay, we'll bring people in, but a certain amount. So yeah.
wow. And what are these uplift calls? Because these are like fast action bonuses that are offered with these packages as well.
Okay, so uplift calls, they're amazing. And basically what they are is, I know for me personally, going through my injury, being able to constantly uplift, to always change my mindset and really feel the difference. Sometimes it was hard to do, or even staying on track or changing at the level that's needed. And so what these uplift calls are, is people around the world, we get on a call, kind of like the, a Zoom call. And it's an uplift that helps you to literally, I take everybody through a mind shift, if you will, where we're radically shifting your mindset. Sometimes it's love, it's healing, it's connectedness, it's empowerment, it's live and it's fun, and it's pivotal. So it's just to help create that shift. And so those.
Amazing. And y'all go through the sales page. You can read all the testimonials. I love it. It sounds too good to be true, and read the testimonials that are in there. And again, this is just a beautiful opportunity that I wanted to offer our community, and in Brandy's community also, that we've invited to the call, uh, to go deeper with Brandy and this really quite specially priced opportunity to work with her and to benefit from a capacity to shift your perspective, to shift your awareness, to direct your energy, and to create something that's really going to be meaningful for you, and to bring about the change and the healing that you've been looking for. So, an extraordinary special offer. The link for it's in the chat box. It's underneath the video page. If you're watching on the YouTube channel for the replays, if the spaces are still open, you're lucky if you're interested, and click on the offer button that will be in the comments section as well. So you'll take advantage of that. And Brandy, with that, I'd love to open up to some more Q&A.
Perfect. Sounds great.
All right,
I
let's
do have
continue.
a quick question about C. It talks about live classes. Can I ask when those classes are? I just want to make sure they're not in the middle of the night for me.
Actually the C with the uplift calls, what those are, is they're staggered for because they're all over the world. So Monday is an afternoon for Pacific time, Tuesday is morning time, Thursday is afternoon, Friday is morning. So they're each staggered because we do have exactly that, people all over the world.
Great. And I think the times are on the sales page if y'all check it out and read through it. So everything should be listed on there. But if you have any questions, of course, let us know. Type it into the chat box, and we'll answer as best we can. All right, let's continue here. Evie, I wanted to take you as the next caller. Welcome. And I'll just have to ask you to find your unmute button on your device. There you go. Hi.
I did. Thank you. Thank you, John. Thank you, Brandon. I like
Hi,
your
Evie.
thanks. I like your exuberance. You seem so excited and so passionate about what you're doing. And I am too.
I love that.
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to, there's so many things going on. I just seem to fall back in the same pattern, like grief and loss. And I don't know if I'm afraid of grief and loss or whatever it is. This is always a situation going on where I just am regretful of certain things that are going on. So is there a way of your determining what that could be? Because it causes trauma.
Okay. So I'm not sure that I heard all of that. So you find yourself in a place of regret, like feeling bad. And then what were you saying were you saying breathe, something lost? What was it?
Grief and loss, like
Grief and loss.
loss of something that causes grief.
Okay.
And just constantly in different situations.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So give me 1 second. Bingo. Bingo. Yes. Bingo. Bingo. Okay. So as I step into your energy, the first thing that comes up, bingo, is there's a feeling of feeling like I'm always in trouble. Are you familiar with that pattern?
in a situation of not wanting to be in trouble, but just not wanting to be in a situation where I'm going to be punished or hurt or damaged or whatever it is, something like that.
Bingo. And if I ask you how much you're afraid of or feel concerned about getting into a pattern where you're feeling punished.
Oh, yeah.
Bingo. Okay. Bingo. And if I ask you how often you feel a feeling of feeling guilty, what would you say?
Oh, Not guilty, but maybe remorseful of
Bingo.
being harmed. Yeah.
Okay. There's a remorseful. Bingo. And there's a feeling of feeling like you did something quote unquote bad. Now, obviously, I'm not saying you did anything bad, but there's a feeling of feeling, yeah, like bad, like just, you're familiar with that feeling, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So that pattern, now, but by the way, give me 1 second, just to kind of give you an idea really fast. One of my patterns that I had to fix to heal myself was a feeling of feeling survivor's guilt. So after the events of 9/11 happened, and long story short, I was not in it. I was here working in California in tech, but I had colleagues that were in the towers at the time. And I was on the phone with my colleagues when the tower hit. And I didn't think it affected me in a way that, other than that, I just wanted to help them and save them. And so, and then afterwards, I felt this feeling of survivor's guilt. Now, when you stop and think about it for a moment, feeling guilty for surviving doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, why is somebody going to feel guilty for surviving? But I did at that time. And so my point is there's a feeling of remorse, but there's also a feeling of feeling bad, gonna get in trouble type of feeling. And it's not to say that you did anything wrong. It's just this feeling of that. The grief, bingo. Bingo. There's also this feeling of feeling like I don't get my way as a kid. Are you familiar with that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. 0 to 10, how much?
Much.
Exactly. So that's feeling of feeling like, and that comes from age. Yes, the pattern really is really big at age 8, but you can see it repeats over and over. And it's like this feeling, I don't get my way. I don't. So by the way, in the beginning of this, when we were first talking, and I was mentioning that all of the time people then want to manifest what they're wanting to create, this in life, or even grief and loss, where they end up, they do manifest certain things, but then they feel like they lose it and they don't get their way, and they don't, because they don't feel like they deserve it, or they feel like they never get their way. And so these bigger patterns can then wipe out what we're wanting to create, because it's a repeating pattern that is bigger. And that's the reason that I mentioned that sometimes it can feel like trying to plant tree in cement and it doesn't stay, is because we have patterns that are global patterns, if you will, that are interfering with what we're wanting to create in our daily lives. Does that make sense? Beautiful.
Yes, I do see that. Yeah.
I love that. And that intensity, that one you can see is pretty intense. I believe you can see that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So bingo. Just so you know, there's another pattern of feeling like bingo. Feeling like if you get things, it's also not fair. Like it's not fair to okay.
Yes, or I'm gonna lose it anyway. So
Bingo. Okay. But that also comes from the not fair. It's kind of like this. If I feel like I manifest something and I feel like it's not fair to others, how good does that feel fully? So what's happening is I have this, it's not fair. Let me get rid of it because it doesn't feel good. So it's that feeling. So the undeserving isn't regarding deserving, because there's a part of you that does feel deserving. And yet there's the, that it's unfair. That's rejecting it and creating the loss. Make sense? Beautiful.
yes, it does. Yes, I see it.
I love you.
Thank
All right,
you
Evie,
so much.
blessings too. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, and I'm so appreciative. I just wanted to say I'm sorry about what happened at the 9/11 event, but I was actually there. I saw the whole thing. I was like many people, but I had to see what was happening, the aftermath, when they were digging and digging and retrieving, and the recovery stages where each day they were digging and they were recovering stuff that was just, it's hard to describe. But actually being there every day and seeing them do the work for months and months and months. What an impact. And I can
Yeah.
relate
Can
to
I
you.
can I tell you? So my wounding from childhood was a feeling that I should die for others. So I grew up actually in the Lutheran church, and then also there was Martin Luther King Jr. and there was all of these people that I had idolized and felt like were role models. So then for me to have my coworker then
Mm,
die, and then for me to sit there in my computer. Now I was of course working on the technical part of trying to restore what I could and whatnot, but while everybody else and firefighters and people were going in to save others' lives, I felt like, how guilty am I that I'm not going to die for others? So that was actually a part of my pattern, was exactly that, was feeling guilty for surviving and simultaneously feeling like I should die for others. It's the quote unquote right thing to do. So and of course, in my subconscious mind, I didn't realize even that it was impacting me. I didn't realize it was so big. So those subconscious patterns, can definitely impact. So
yes. And I relate to the point of wanting to die for others, because that was my religion. That was my belief.
yeah,
Wanting to be there, literally just going the way. So to save someone, and if you die, that's what it should be. So I know how it is.
yeah, I changed that. I was like, well, it's a much better plan to live. I think I'm going to alter this plan a little bit and
Mhm.
perfect it. It's a much better plan.
I'd
Much
like
better
to
plan.
perfect it
Evie,
myself. Thank you so much.
blessings to you, Evie. Thank you so much.
Thank
All right,
you.
let's continue. Paula, welcome to the call.
Good evening. Thank you. Um, so I kind of have this really kind of weird pattern of fear. And I'm just noticing in so many ways where um it almost turns into like a deep depression because I'm so afraid of like moving forward that I just pull myself back down.
Second. Bing. Okay. So if I ask you in the past, if I ask you how much you can find a feeling of like a pride in hardship, if you will, like a connectedness to hardship, if I ask you how much you can find that, what would you say?
Very easy.
Okay. So watch this. So I love your awareness first and foremost. Now, if I told you that part of my brain has a feeling of pride in hardship, right? Like, so if I ask you, do you think the other part of my brain is moving forward, how much it wants to repeat that feeling of pride and hardship, right? So what's happening is part of your brain is like, I need more hardship. Yes. And the other part of you is like, heck no, no more hardship. I don't want it. Right. And so that link creates that feeling of fear. So just like if somebody wants sympathy and has a pattern of sympathy, then what do they need to get sympathy? They need bad things to happen. And then the other part of the brain is, I don't want any more bad things to happen. And so it creates this feeling of fear. And so often that's why with the mind, people are trying to get results for years and years and years, because everything is not what it seems. It's different from what people think it is. And then changing those patterns, that's when it becomes pivotal. So it's not necessarily the dichotomy, if you will. It's a want. It's a part of your subconscious mind wants something that your conscious mind doesn't want, if you will. So it's bingo. So then rewiring that in the subconscious mind becomes the key. Does that make sense? Beautiful.
Yeah. So of the programs, would that be like the first one, the second one?
So of the of
special
the
offer.
packages,
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Bingo. That could be the first one. Could even work with that, unless you're working with some type of specific health issue. So if you're working with a health issue, pick the second one. But if not, then pick the first one.
Awesome. Thank you.
Amazing.
Beautiful.
You read my mind because I was going to ask this. I was going to ask a very similar question. Which packages and how will they help? So, right on point.
Yes.
Thank you, Paula, for bringing that in.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Brandy, what kind of success stories have you Seem like normal everyday success stories. They're just like, but it seemed like small, like, hey, I let go of this repeating pattern of being in fear about this thing because of this repeated pattern. But you could see the path that just extended itself because that seemingly small shift was made in someone's life.
Yes. So shifting patterns, I've seen, obviously, like, yes, I've seen people shift patterns. I've seen people break through from major patterns. I've seen people, I mean, you name it. I've seen people overcome quote unquote terminal illnesses. I've seen people go from losing millions of dollars to making hundreds of millions of dollars. I've seen people go from feeling unloved to even just, even a person today that I talked to was just like, this might sound ridiculous, which is what she said, but I think it was beautiful. She was like, but I just feel loved for the first time in my life. And I can't believe
Wow.
that in my 50s. And she was just
Wow.
in tears. She was like, I actually feel loved. And
Mm.
so I've seen so many different breakthroughs. And obviously, you know, the medical journal, you can see pain. I like to demonstrate. I love results. I love to demonstrate results. And I am going to say it does take a real change, but I see the things that I see people change. It is amazing, is
Mm.
incredible.
A great question that came in from Martina. She says, can you experience life-changing results even if you don't think they're possible?
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
love the answer.
In fact, like there's so many, because there are so many experiences that I have with this. And even actually after I healed myself, I never thought I was going to be doing this. I just wanted to show
Mm.
people that they could heal too. And then so I just started showing people. And before you know it, I was speaking on stage, and then I would take audiences from, you know, volunteers from the audience, kind of like we're doing now, but even in person. And I would say, who doesn't believe it's possible? And I would take people who didn't believe it was possible and help them to shift it. And it's kind of like this, is if we simplify it, if somebody has a panic attack
Mhm.
or feelings of panic, they can have a panic attack whether or not they believe it's possible. And then if they undo it, they can heal themselves from panic attacks, even if they don't believe it. And not only that, but how many people do we look around and see sabotaging their lives, even if they don't realize they're doing it? Or unfortunate, if we look at patterns breeding more of the same, we can look at psychology. And let's say, unfortunately, the woman with the abusive father can leave him and find the abusive boyfriend, boss, spouse, etc. That pattern can continue. And it's not that she believes her patterns are working, it's that the patterns are at play. And so I would say all of us have
Mm.
attracted things we didn't want in our lives.
Yeah.
Even if we didn't believe, you know, in the patterns and whatnot. And so, yeah, they work whether or not we believe it. Emotions can affect us whether or not we believe. And of course, there's an energy connected to that. But, you know, if we want to get into the technical of biophotons and how they work and all of that, but yeah, it's all interconnected, whether we believe it or not.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Great question, Martina. Thank you so much. All right, let's continue. Hetty,
So
let's go to you. Welcome.
can we answer a quick question from the chat? Is that okay? Where it
Yes,
says,
absolutely. Hetty,
yes,
before you unmute yourself, let's answer the question from the chat, Brandy.
fantastic. So it says, where does the divine come into all of this? With God, all things are possible. With me, myself, healing seems, so let's go here for a moment. So if we even look at the Bible, just FYI, in the Bible, it says, a merry heart is a medicine, ill thoughts will dry the bones.
Mm.
So, which is another way of saying, you know, even stress affects the physical body, positive emotions help heal it. Now, of course, there's more to it, but my point is, literally for thousands of years, it's been written throughout religion of all types. So where does God, energy, the divine come in? It's literally, it's how we were made, like that. It is our innate ability. So even, by the way, some other things, if we were to look at the Bible, you know, it says, do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be renewed by the transformation of your mind. Basically, it's so, I mean, my point is, and not that I agree with everything that's in the Bible or not, or what, I'm just saying it is around us in every religion, in different ways. And and I would say that we have this innate ability, because God, universe, energy, divine, whatever you want to call it, gave us this ability. So it's really about tapping into our skills. And a simple way to put it is kind of like this: we come here, we don't know how to talk, we don't know how to write our names, we don't even know how to walk, we don't even know where our nose is, and we have to learn where our nose is. We have to learn how to talk, we have to learn how to walk. We also come here with the ability to heal ourselves, and it's a skill we have to learn. And a lot of people just have not learned how to use the skill, but the more we understand it, so it's an innate, it's a skill that God, universe, energy, divine gave us. And what I would say is, what's beautiful, and the reason I call it a gift is this, is because when we really start to look at healing, like even if we mentioned with Jane, beautiful love, self-awareness, that this pattern of feeling criticized and being critical of self. Now imagine for a moment if for the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, or next lifetimes, she keeps this pattern of feeling criticized and criticizing self and criticizing self. And that's her life. Or she changes it and she gets rid of that pattern completely, and instead feels good about herself, confident, feels harmonious, loved, and harmonious in relationships. What does that look like? That's a huge shift. So what I would say is, where does God fit into this? It's also, I would say that illness is it's like a check engine light on a car. It is telling us the way we're thinking is errored, and it's attracting more of the same. So it's like our body is telling us the most important thing we need to know. And when we pay attention, we go, oh, this pattern, and then we change it, life opens up. So somebody can go from feeling hurt and sympathy or pride and hardship to feeling harmonious and love. So it's like, it's literally like a check engine light that says, pay attention. There's something that's causing dis-ease in our life, in our world. And of course, because there's multiple ingredients, it's multiple things. But when we really address it and change it, it's profound.
It's beautiful. And I love that Martina, I appreciate that you brought this up and the vulnerability of it, but that healing yourself would seem blasphemous. And for me, it's like, but who are we to put that responsibility on another human being to heal us in that way? That seems like that seems like making a God out of somebody else instead of the God that you're proclaiming that you're being blasphemous against. And so it's interesting the justifications that our mind can conjure to not really bring in the opportunity to shift the awareness and the thought and just keep us in a perpetual loop of, well, this is the way it's got to be until something outside of me decides that I'm worthy enough to shift it for me.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, but I mean, if somebody then has panic attacks and then they heal themselves from that, is it blasphemous to do that?
Right.
So, they healed themselves, don't do that, and so when we look at it, there's a change of change. And by the way, speaking of with the Bible, I messed up that one quote where it says, do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so either way, so point being is that it's just written throughout history and throughout religion and spirituality that healing ourselves, having faith, having trust, but changing, transforming is key.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Thank you, Brandy. And thank you so much, Martina, for that question.
Yes. Fantastic question. Thank you, Martina.
Hetty, let's go back to you. Welcome to the call.
Thank you. Yeah, so I guess I have so many things going on that make my life feel just really limited. And I have an autoimmune condition that causes a lot of pain. But beyond that, like my dietary limitations because of that are just so extreme that like my life is limited in that way. It just makes it hard to have to cook for myself and be social, and I'm just exhausted all the time, and I haven't had a good night's sleep in decades.
So I
Yeah.
have a question.
Yeah.
What's your current level of pain right now?
I mean, in this moment, it's probably a 2.
Okay.
But a few days ago, I had an excruciating flare up. I couldn't stand for 30 seconds without having to sit down.
Okay. And bingo, give me 1 second. Um bingo. Bingo. Yes. Okay. If I ask you, bingo. Bingo. If I ask you how much you have a feeling of fear of like rejection and abandonment, what would you say?
I think it's pretty high, except that it's not a conscious fear. I just have been fiercely independent for my adult life.
Okay.
But I think it's connected to a fear of abandonment. Yeah.
Bingo. Okay. And so bingo. And so can you see the part of you with the independence that's kind of wanting to shut off and not need others? Can you see that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And so if I ask you 0 to 10, how much you can see that, what would you say?
I mean, I can see it a 10, and how
Okay.
present is it? Yeah, it's probably a good 8 or 9.
Okay. So bingo. So if I told you that I was afraid of losing oxygen, so I've decided to cut off oxygen at a level 8, 9, how would you say that would go? Probably not good,
Probably
right?
not that great.
So we need love and connection, right? So we need love and connection. And so often, if we've been hurt, we kind of want to say, well, never mind, I don't need it any. And we want to put up a wall and say, love, I don't need love anyway, or I'm independent, or yes, I feel loved, but I feel shut off at the same time. Like, and yeah. So bingo. And if I ask you, by the way, how quote unquote good you are at burying hurt, what would you say?
I don't quite know how to answer that.
Okay. If I ask you how much you can find the feeling of bingo. There is a feeling of give me 1 second. If I ask you the feeling of hurt that's deep inside, what would you say? 0 to 10.
It's likely a 10.
Okay. Bingo. Okay. So bingo. Bingo. Yes. Bingo. Bingo. And if I ask you 0 to 10, how much you can feel the feeling of feeling unloved, even if it's not true, if I ask you how much you find that feeling of feeling unloved. Yes.
Yeah, I think it changes, but maybe an 8.
Bingo. I would agree. I love your awareness. Okay. And so, so ultimately what I'd strongly recommend is that's what package C. And that's why I said there are some people that healing themselves, it's really also going to be focused around changing their relationships and love in their life. And that's what I would look at is package C. But when I come into your energy, that's what I feel. And I also feel like there's a very strong, fierce part of you too, a very hard outer shell that's kind of covering up a lot of those feelings. Are you familiar with that?
Although I'm so exhausted these days that I can't. It's just on the surface.
Yeah.
But,
So
yeah, for years, for sure.
yeah, I get it. I get it. I get it. I lived it in my own way of the fear, the pain, the extreme pain, like at a 10 morphine every day for years. And so I get it. And the biggest thing I would say is like when I simplify it down and I say, okay, if you identify the specific emotion and you really shift it, that's the key, right? And so, of course, when I say it does take genuine change, it does. So you feeling loved in life, it does, it does. It takes really being willing to shift, to feel different, to create that genuine change. You know, so often people are wanting to go, okay, I feel unloved, or I feel hurt, or I feel broken on the inside for some reason, or I feel fear of rejection. And they go, okay, well, I just want to manifest meditation and healing, and I just want to heal. And it becomes a heady thing instead of a reality thing, right? And they go, okay, well, and I don't, this is exactly what I was like in my own different way, was like, okay, I just want to heal. I want my body to heal. I want my body to heal. And it's like, when we do fix what's really going on, that's what it's pivotal. So the beautiful thing is that I hate to say this phrase, we kill two birds with one stone, but really give life to two birds with one stone, so to speak. But as we change what it is that's been bothering us anyway, it also then heals our body. So it's like sometimes we're trying to go around it the other way, where we go, well, if I could just heal, then I could figure this out. If I could just heal myself, then I could. And it's like the opposite way. If we just really heal what's going on the inside and change that, it becomes pivotal to change your life. So,
all right, Hetty, blessings. Yeah.
Thank you.
You know, there's one component in all of this, and again, Brandy's can't go completely deep and go into like, let's go through this full process. But one thing that is a strong catalyst for the shift, huge, is that there's a doorway that's accessible, and Brandy can bring it to you because she's walked up to the doorway and crossed through it. And even the energy of hope, what there hasn't been, can be such a catalyst for forward momentum. But then to walk with someone who, again, knows how to walk that path and knows how to effectively create a change is profound. And so I want to offer at the minimum for everybody in this call, no matter what's happening, the threshold of hope and what becomes possible there, because there is momentum, but there are doorways that are available and that are opened. And Brandy,
yeah,
I know you want to share more. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. You're so good, John. Absolutely. So kind of one other kind of just piece to add to this, if you will. Like if I ask you, Hetty, if I ask you how much it feels safe to love, what would you say?
Four.
Okay. And if I ask you how much it feels unsafe, what would you say?
Well, you'd think it would be 6, but it's definitely higher.
Bingo. That. Thank you that you said that. Exactly. You would think if you were logical, but emotions aren't logical. So I love your awareness in that. That's exactly why I didn't push your energy even further to try to shift you, is because you're feeling unloved. And then if I said, okay, well, why don't you bring in a feeling of feeling more loved? Well, that doesn't feel safe to you. So now it's going to trigger you because it doesn't feel safe. So I wouldn't have been doing you a favor by going, oh, you're feeling unloved? Well, here, just bring in a bunch of feelings of love, because now I'm just triggering you in a different way. So that's why it was like, I would really go a deep dive transformation on it. And that's, I didn't want to then trigger you in the other way. Because a lot of times people will go, well, just bring in the feeling of love, and yada, yada. And it's like, nope, saw that one too. That will trigger the opposite way. So it's just being genuine. Like if I told you I'm afraid of a dog at about a level 8, and you were like, here's the dog, Brandy. Like, wait a second here. This is not the answer. Let me.
We're not going to
Okay.
push you off the deep end of the pool without knowing how to swim.
Exactly. Now, by the way, then some people would say, well, let's just bring in the feeling that love is safe. But wait a second here. Let me give you more context. The dog that you're handing me, does it look like a little nice little dog? Or are you handing me Cujo and saying, here's Cujo? Because some people go, well, just bring in the relationships are safe. But what type of relationship is in your mind? Is it an abusive, like what what's happening? So we really have to reframe our, so we go, okay, wait a second. This is going to take what? Real change. Oh, okay. So I'm starting to see my relationships in a new way and repattern them in a new way. Great. Oh, now relationships are safe. Oh, okay, great. oh, now I feel safe to bring in love. Oh, great. So we're really actually creating a genuine change to really fix the miswired mind programming and patterns that are going on. We're not just putting a Band-Aid on it and saying, think positive. You've got this way to go. We're saying, oh, there's some errors that need to be ironed out. And the beautiful thing is that's the gift of making that change, is as we really, really create the change, it becomes pivotal. So I hope that helps and give more context. So
Thank you.
Yeah, blessings on your journey, Hetty. Thank you for coming on. Great questions that are coming in. If someone wants to deal more with physical issues that are coming through, we have neuromuscular, we have neck pain, things like that. That would be package B. That's correct, right?
yeah.
Package A is more specifically for non-physical issues.
Yes.
And package C is going into healing the relationship, opening to love, right?
Yeah. Especially when there's a lot of deep wounding with relationships. It's literally transforming that area, relationships and love.
Which brings me to a question that came in. And Jillian, I want you to unmute yourself, but I want to ask your question that you wrote in because Jillian wants to be healed from being an empath.
Julian wants to be healed from being what?
An empath, empathic. If
Okay.
we're an empath and highly sensitive person, can that be changed?
We wouldn't want to change it. That's like saying, if I can hear, can I make it stop? Well, why would we want to make it stop? If I can see. So we all are an empath. We're born, like if you think about a baby and how sensitive they are to energy. And so we are all sensitive to energy. And we all have this ability. We don't want to shut it off. And so we want to have this ability. We want to expand it, but we want to also be able to do it in a healthy way. So it's kind of like this. Like if somebody touches my skin, can I feel it? Absolutely. Now, if it hurts, if they touch me, I'm like, ow, well, there's something I need to fix. And so it's the empath isn't the problem. It is, what is the trigger, or why does it hurt? Why is it created? Because obviously I can feel people's energy. I can feel into it very, easily. And it's not a problem. It's a power. We all have this power, and it's not a power over others, but it's like, it's an ability that we have. And so, so what I would say is asking ourselves why it's hurting instead of wanting to get rid of it.
Thank you. Can I add to that, Brandy? I love your gift, by the way. It's absolutely beautiful, and thank you for sharing. I did sign up for package B, and that's because when I was 24, I had a really bad ski accident. I ended up in chronic pain for the past 44 years, which actually has moved from neck and upper back pain to low back pain and hip pain and knee pain and blah, blah, blah. It keeps going. And I also have significant GI issues that I've had for a number of years, requiring high dose medication. I would dearly love to heal, and I would dearly love to know what the pattern is that I need to change. Are you able to? I am doing package B, but I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Absolutely. And give me 1 second. Bingo. Yes. And what is your current level of pain right now?
Right at this moment is probably only a 2 to 3. It flares up.
Okay. And bingo. Can you give me, it feels like a man. I can't tell if it's a dad or a husband. Are you married?
No, was divorced.
Bingo. Can you give me, bingo, there we go. Can you give me his first initial, please?
R.
Bingo. Okay. And if I ask you how much you were afraid he was going to be upset with you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He has significant anger issues.
Bingo.
Yeah. And I didn't grow up with that, so I was never prepared for that. And that's where the empath sensitive person comes in. That's why I asked that question, because I would be cowering in the corner when I first met him, and his anger would be violent eruptions of anger.
Okay, so
and then
yep.
then it would be over for him, but not for me.
Bingo. Give me 1 second. Bingo. Yes. Okay. Yes. So notice how you were raised in a very sheltered. You can see that, right? If I ask you how sheltered you would say it was, what would you say?
You mean out of 10, like sheltered? Or
Uh-huh.
yeah, it was very sheltered.
And
It's
if
small
I
town, yeah,
bingo.
nuclear family. Yeah.
Okay. And if I ask you how much you learned or felt that the outside world was a scary place, how much did you feel that?
And that was, I would say probably not, I couldn't wait to get away from home and to see the world and explore the world. So I left home when I was 17.
Bingo. Bingo. And there's also a feeling of guilt for leaving home. Can you see that?
Ooh,
Bingo.
I haven't thought about it.
Bingo. Towards your mom, it feels like.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Bingo. So
Yeah.
so basically what you told the universe is, I left home and I deserve punishment. I'm bad for that.
Ooh.
Okay. So bingo. Bingo. So bingo. But a lot of the things need to be they'll want to be bingo. 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 If I ask you 0 to 10, how much you can find the feeling of feeling like men are not safe, what would you say?
Oh, high. Yeah.
Yeah. So when
8
I
to
said
9.
bingo. So when I said the world is not safe, really, when I dial it in, it's men. It's that's what it was looking at. But that's why it was not a man specifically, but men in general. So
Men.
yeah,
Mhm.
which means that so then imagine if you feel like men aren't safe, and I'm like, picture yourself in a wonderful relationship, and yeah, like you really would need to. So there's some real change at a deeper level that you'll want to change. Does that make sense? Beautiful.
It does make sense. And I'm
I
in the
love
right program, the package B.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Perfect. Thank
And
you.
I look forward to connecting with you. I love
Yeah,
yourself, and
thank-
it's just
Thank
beautiful.
you so much.
Thank you, Jillian, for coming in. Great question. Y'all, the special offer again, package A is $49. That call takes place July 24th, 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. Package 2 takes place August 15th, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. Again, this is all on the special offer page, but a lot of y'all are asking, so if you're having a problem just reviewing it, we'll just get here. Package B, y'all, is $69. Again, this is like the lowest price ever to work with Brandy. And very intimate containers. Package C is $219. And that's limited to 20 people. And so you'll be enrolled in that also. So I wanted to give you more specifics and ground that in for you because, again, a lot of questions coming around the dates and the times. They're coming in. Remember, these are limited seatings because Brandy really wants to go in and be able to support you when you're on the call. So if you have the opportunity to sign up, know that you will be held in a very beautiful container with Brandy. You'll experience some of what you experienced today, but I know that you'll be going deeper than our capacity to go in today. And Brandy, you're just always showing up with so much generosity and sharing, and it's always wonderful when we get to have you on the show,
Thank you. I
and to
know what it
provide an
feels like.
opportunity.
I know what it feels like to just want results. I lived it for so many years, and you know, I know what that feels like. So
Yeah. You know, Jillian's asking, someone else asked, how long is package B or package A? How long do those calls go?
it's a 2-hour deep dive.
Okay.
So it's 2-hour deep dive, information, tools and techniques, start changing it. And that's why I only want a limited amount of people on there, so I can so we can make it intimate and we can make it pivotal.
Beautiful. We all come back, listen to the replay. We'll run the replay all week long. It'll be available to you. And for those of you going deeper with Brandy, it's just, oh my God, have an amazing journey. And again, look at Brandy. She's a living, walking example of what's possible. And she's created that self-discovery into something that is serving so many people and shifting lives. And so amazing opportunity to drop in with you. So grateful, Brandy, and thank you for being on the show
Likewise.
today.
Likewise, John. I love your heart. I love the way you show up in the
Mm,
world, and I always appreciate connecting with you.
thank you. Same love. Blessings. We're all blessed, y'all.
We
Thank
are
you all
very
for-
much. And everybody, I love that you're on this journey. It's pivotal. Like, as you guys know, it's life changing. And the more you it's so good.
Exactly. We get to share from that overflow from the so good. So bowing down to each of you in namaste. And I look forward to seeing you on the next call. Bye, everybody.